So today we're talking about the regulation of the internal environment, homeostasis. When you hear the word regulate, what comes to your mind? To regulate means to maintain or control the processes, in an environment or in a particular place. So the internal environment we're talking about today is the body. So we're talking about maintenance of the processes, maintenance and control of the things that happen inside the body. So what is homeostasis? Homeostasis is the regulation of the internal environment, the activities that take place inside the body. So homeostasis is the regulation of the internal environment of the body so as to maintain a steady state, by self-regulating adjustments. So it's just what I already told us about. It's all about maintaining or controlling, the activities inside the body to ensure that there's a balance. Now, this internal regulation of homeostasis takes place in all living organisms at different levels, and then there are structures in the body, that aids homeostasis, or you can say there are structures in the body, that aids the regulation of the internal environment. Now, today we're going to be talking about those structures. Today we're going to be talking about kidney. The other structures are kidney, you have the liver, you have the skin, you have the brain, and we also have hormones. So these structures that I just listed, they take place they are major structures that take place in homeostasis in the body. So I think these structures, you have the major internal structures, you have the kidney, we have the liver, we have the skin, we have the brain, we have hormones. Now, so we're going to be majorly talking about the kidney, and then the other classes, we have two more classes which we talk about the liver and hormones. So, when we hear kidney, what comes to your mind? Filtration, urine, or some people say urine. Okay, so the kidney has to do with filtration of blood to ensure that there is excretion of waste products, which is urine. So when someone is not passing out urine properly, you know that there's a problem with the kidney. It also has to do with maintaining the water balance in the body. It has to do with a lot of things. It mostly has to do with filtration, because it filters the blood to take out waste from the blood and then to reabsorb the nutrients in the blood. So what is the major function of the kidney? Is filtration. Because that filtration, that's where nutrients are reabsorbed back to the body, and then wastes are removed from the blood and passed out as urine. So, functions of the kidney. Number one, osmoregulation. There are key words to note when you hear osmoregulation. You talk about the osmotic pressure. These are key things to note when you're talking about osmoregulation. You talk about osmotic pressure. You talk about osmotic receptors, hypothalamus, pituitary, antidiuretic hormone. ADH, or you can call vasopressin. has to do with the water balance of the body, maintaining the water balance of the body. So I told us that to regulate means to maintain or control something. So osmotic regulation has to do with maintaining and controlling the water balance of the body to ensure that the water content in the body is supposed to be normal. So for example, when someone is, when someone is losing water in the body, you're losing water excessively, maybe through sweat, vomiting, you're under the sun and you're sweating a lot, and at the same time, the water in the body is reducing drastically. The body will just be notified, like the osmotic pressure. Now, from these key things to note now. From these key things I said you should note. First of all, when someone is losing water, maybe from sweat, MSCs, which is vomiting, if the weather is very hot, and you find that you're losing water and you're losing a lot of water, or maybe any other condition, first of all, the osmotic pressure in the body changes. That's the first thing that happens. The osmotic pressure in the body changes. And then the osmotic receptors, these osmotic receptors, they are found in the hypothalamus. So the osmotic receptors in the hypothalamus, they are notified that there's a change in osmotic pressure. And immediately, these osmotic receptors, it leads to stimulating the pituitary gland. And then the pituitary gland secretes this hormone, which is called the antidiuretic hormone or vasopressin. Now, what is the work of this antidiuretic hormone? This is the main hormone in osmoregulation. The antidiuretic hormone goes to the glomeruli or the tubules that filters the blood, and it makes sure that there's because what happens in the glomeruli is that as the blood is being filtered, water is passing through. The water that is needed is being reabsorbed. It's passing through the glomeruli into the body and it's being reabsorbed. So when there is less water in the body and the body is constantly losing water, this antidiuretic hormone just goes ahead to increase the permeability of the glomerular tubules. Then more water will be reabsorbed. More water will be reabsorbed and stored in the body. So that means the body finds a way to conserve more water so that there will be a normal water balance in the body. So at the end of the day, the person will not, there will not be damage in the cells, or the person will not end up fainting. Especially when you see people that are doing exercise. That's why you see that people that are doing exercise, they always take a lot of water because they are constantly losing water. They are constantly losing water. So at that point, even if they are not taking water, what the kidney is doing is to make sure that osmoregulation is taking place. And when it gets to the point where antidiuretic hormone is produced, the antidiuretic hormone ensures that there's permeability of the glomerular tubules. Now, in a state where there's too much water in the body, excess water, maybe the weather is cold, you're taking a lot of water, or sometimes even if the weather is not cold, you just notice that because you were so thirsty, you just took a whole lot of water at the same time, and there's so much water in the body, and at the same time, this process starts all over again. The osmotic pressure changes, and then the osmotic receptors is notified of the change in the osmotic pressure, and then the pituitary gland is activated, is stimulated to secrete this antidiuretic hormone. So at this point, when there's excess water, what does the antidiuretic hormone do? The antidiuretic hormone will reduce the permeability of the glomerular tubules. That means it will reduce the rate at which the glomerular tubules is absorbing water into the body, so that those waters will now be passed out through urine. Because remember that whatever that is not absorbed, and whatever that is not reabsorbed into the body is excreted as waste. You talk about urea, talk about creatinine, those things that are toxic to the body, they are the ones that are excreted. But the ones that are the nutrients that are still useful is taken from the blood and back to the body. That's what is called reabsorption. So that is what happens during osmoregulation. Then the second function of the kidney is excretion of urea. I just talked about it now when I was talking about osmoregulation. Urea is a waste product from the blood, so it's not reabsorbed back into the body, but it's excreted through urine. So the second function of the kidney is what? Excretion of urea. helps to maintain acid-base balance of the body. Then we talk about the fourth one is the kidney eliminates undesirable substances such as drugs, alcohols, toxins. Now, the drugs, when people take drugs, especially those ones that are harmful or inhale toxic substances, everything that is taken into the body enters the blood. So whether you inhale it, you eat it, however it enters your body, it will still enter the blood. So the only way it can be taken away from the blood to avoid causing damage in the body is through filtration in the kidney. It's through the kidney. When the blood enters the kidney, it's being filtered and then the waste is taken away and all that. So what is the function of the kidney? Number one is osmotic regulation, where the water balance of the body is maintained. Number two is the excretion of urea. This is a waste product that is not useful to the body, so it's excreted through the urine. Then number three is maintaining of the acid-base balance of the body. Then number four is osmotic pressure of the blood. The kidney helps to maintain the osmotic pressure of the blood. Now, when we talk about the diseases of the kidney, number one is kidney stone. Number one is kidney stone. What is kidney stone? Kidney stone, number one, it is a disease of the kidney. It can be as a result of accumulation of calcium substances, in the body. Accumulation of some things that are supposed to be passed out as waste or supposed to be broken down, but it was not broken down. So when those things accumulate, it forms stones. So that is kidney stone for you. What are the symptoms? What will you see, and then you know that okay, this person has kidney stones. Number one, okay, let me read. They said kidney stone is a condition in which tiny solids, example calcium phosphate, present in urine, it blocks the nephrons. So those I said is an accumulation, right? So when those substances are accumulated, it now starts causing obstructions inside the kidney. The filtration and the processes that takes place in the kidney cannot happen again because some tubes and some nephrons in the body, in the kidney, they are blocked. It's just like when there's a drainage pipe. When you have a drainage pipe and then it's used to drain water from a particular place, and all of a sudden there's a stone. A stone enters the drainage pipe. Find that there will be difficulty in passing out of whatever it is that passes through that drainage. It will be blocked. The ways that will pass through the drainage will be very minute because the drainage has been blocked. There's an obstruction. So that is what kidney stone does in the kidney. When those calcium substances, those substances are not supposed to be there. When they accumulate, they form stones and then they obstruct the processes, the functions, the filtrations that take place in the kidney. So that is kidney stones. That's kidney stone for you. Okay, so we're talking about symptoms. Symptoms of kidney stones. There will be difficulty in passing out urine. Someone that has kidney stone will have difficulty in passing out urine. You won't be able to pass out urine properly. There might be pains. It might just be coming out little by little in drops because the filtration is very slow because there's a block in the passage in the tube that filters the urine. Then another symptom is severe abdominal pain. High blood pressure may also be experienced. Now talking about remedy of kidney stone, you have to drink sufficient water. When you eat, you drink water. Drink a lot of water. Ensure that every day you take 6 to 7 liters of water. It's good for your kidney. It helps the kidney to function properly. So taking a lot of water is a treatment or remedy for kidney stones because when you drink sufficient water, it helps to ensure proper function of the kidney. Then you also have avoid food items that are hard to digest. Especially those people that eat very late. You find yourself eating late in the night, you're eating had solid food, you're eating eba, you're eating yam in the night, and you know that when you finish eating, you sleep. At the end of the day, those things just keeps on accumulating. There's no proper digestion, and you know what will happen. Then the third treatment of kidney stone is drugs. There are drugs that are capable of dissolving kidney stones. So that's why when people have kidney stones, some people don't use surgery because the stones can actually, some of them, if they are not much, they can actually be dissolved using drugs. Then the last treatment is surgery. You can remove the stones via surgery. Then the second kidney disease is diuresis. Diuresis is all about excess water, removal of excess water through the urine. So you're always passing out to urine, passing out to urine. That's what diuresis is all about. Removal of excess water urine from the body through the kidneys. The situation occurs when the kidney tubules, I told you those glomerular tubules that filter the urine. So when the kidney tubules fail to reabsorb water from the glomerular filtrate back to the blood. So at this point, the glomerular tubules, they are not filtering water again. They are not filtering water again. They are now very less permeable, to water. So the water is not being reabsorbed into the body again. So both the one that is supposed to be excreted and the one that is supposed to be reabsorbed, they are all being excreted. They are all passing out of the body. There's no water again being retained in the body or reabsorbed in the body. So that is what diuresis is all about. So what are the causes? What can cause diuresis? You have diabetes and pituitary disease. Pituitary disease can be a cause of diuresis because it's the pituitary gland that secretes this antidiuretic hormone. So when there's a disease that affects the pituitary gland, obviously it cannot be able to secrete this hormone, this antidiuretic hormone, which will lead to the permeability of the glomerular tubules. So when there's a disease to the pituitary gland, there will be diuresis. That's one of the causes. The second cause of diuresis is lack of a hormone called antidiuretic hormone. When the pituitary gland is not secreting antidiuretic hormone, or sometimes the pituitary gland can secrete antidiuretic hormone, but it's not being used. So invariably, this hormone at that point is not functioning, whether it's there or it's not there. That can also be a cause of diuresis. Then drinking of excessive alcohol can also be a cause of diuresis. Then heart failure, renal failure, and kwashiorkor. So what are the symptoms? Symptoms of diuresis can be thirst and dehydration. The person will constantly be thirsty because the person is always passing out the urine, passing out plenty water through urine. Second is high blood pressure. It can also lead to loss of serum electrolytes from the body, loss of appetite. The person will be weak, tired at the same time, but the person cannot be able to stand, nausea, vomiting at the same time, and feeling like vomiting, that's nausea. Then death may occur if not treated. That's why you see when people are having stooling and vomiting at the same time, they can die in minutes if they are not attended to, because they are losing a lot of electrolytes, they are losing a lot of water from their body. That's not a good condition to be in. So what is the remedy or treatment for diuresis? Do not use fans or air conditioners in cold weather. Now, if you notice, when the weather is very cold, you will tend to use the restroom more often. If the weather is cold. So at that time, people that are suffering from diuresis are not advised to use the AC or fan. They're not advised to use the air conditioner or fan because it will make them to pass out more urine. So if you want to treat diuresis, you are advised not to use fans or air conditioner in cold weather. Second treatment of diuresis, avoid drinking excessive alcohol because that can lead to diuresis. Then people lacking ADH, that's antidiuretic hormone and aldosterone, they should be treated. Also, kidney transplant may be done. Then the next disease of the kidney is nephritis or edema. Option 3, nephritis, or you can say edema. Now, this nephritis now is as a result of an infection. It's as a result of a streptococcus infection. This streptococcus infection can be seen in the throat, it can be seen in the neck, it can be seen in the mouth, it can be seen anywhere, in any part of the body. Now remember that whatever you take into your body goes to the blood, is carried around by the blood. How does the food you eat, how is it transported? The drugs you take in, there's something they call systemic circulation. How does systemic circulation take place in the body? It's through the blood. The blood carries it around the body. The blood carries whatever that enters into your body, it carries it around the body. So when there's a streptococcus infection, whether in the throat, in the mouth, in the ear, or wherever, this infection, this streptococcus germs, is also in the blood. It will be seen in the blood. So while the blood is carried to the kidney to be filtered, automatically the glomerular tubules, which does the filtration, is infected by this germ called this streptococcus infection. It also infects the glomeruli. So when it infects the glomeruli, you find out that when it affects the glomeruli, you find out that the excretion, the reabsorption of water in the body will not take place properly the way it should. That is what happens during when there's edema. First of all, it starts from an infection somewhere in the body, maybe in the mouth. It starts from the streptococcus infection, maybe in the throat, and that infection is carried in the blood. And then when it gets to the kidney, the glomeruli or the glomerular tubules is also infected. When the glomerular tubules get infected, it does not function properly again, and automatically you find out that the water that is supposed to be excreted, is also reabsorbed into the body. What is the major function of this glomerular tubules? The function is that it helps to filter. It filters the blood, right? As it's filtering the blood, there are some nutrients, there are still some nutrients in the blood, and there is also waste in the blood. So it removes the waste, and that waste is excreted as urine, and then it reabsorbs the nutrients. And part of the nutrient that it reabsorbs is water. So when it's not reabsorbing the water properly, when it's not reabsorbing the water the way it is, or excreting it the way it's supposed to be excreted, you find that there will be excess water in the body. You find that there will be excess water in the body. So nephritis or edema. So I say nephritis or edema is as a result of a streptococcus infection. It can either occur in the nose, eyes, throat. It depends wherever it takes place. When that streptococcus infection takes place, it's being carried by the blood. It's being carried by the blood, to the kidney. When the blood carries that infection or the germs to the glomerulus becomes infected and then inflamed. It does not function properly. And remember that what the glomerulus does is ultrafiltration. That means it filters the blood, removes the waste, and absorbs the nutrients. So when the glomerulus is infected, it doesn't function properly, and then it causes increased permeability. That means there will be excessive intake of water, into the body, more than normal. So now, in a case where there is excess water inside the body will use the one that it needs. But the one that does not need will start going into other parts of the body. That is what happens. It will just start going into different parts of the body, because at that point the body has taken what it needs, but there is excess left. So I'll go back to explain again. I said the nephritis or edema is as a result of streptococcus infection. The infection can be in any part of the body, and then when this infection happens, it's carried around in the blood. And when the blood gets to the kidney for filtration. That glomerulus that carries the water filtration becomes infected, and when it becomes infected, you find that the glomerulus begins to malfunction. There will be increased permeability, that means excessive intake or excessive reabsorption of water into the body. And as this water is being reabsorbed excessively into the body, the ones the body needs will be used or utilized, but the excess will keep going into different parts of the body. That is what happens. Now, what are the symptoms? What are the signs? What will you see and that, okay, this is edema or this person has edema? Number one is puffiness in the face, Then watery swellings in the feet and ankles, a condition known as edema. One of the easiest way of seeing edema, you can see in pregnant women, you see their feet are swollen, and when you touch it, they'll be like a dip, a little dip. So that's what edema is about. Of course, the ones that happens to pregnant women is not as a result of a kidney disease, mostly as a result of kidney disease. It's just one of the symptoms or one of the things that is seen in pregnancy. So, but that is a symptom of edema. When you see someone with swollen feet, even swollen hands, you know that the person has edema. Because this is where all those. And remember that when there's excessive intake of water, it can also the body can also take in some things that water now that is taking in excessively can also carry some waste products. So that's why it is also very harmful to the body. Now, another symptom of edema is kidney becomes swollen. So the person's kidney becomes swollen because that's the major place where everything starts taking place from. Then the next symptom is dizziness, fatigue, high blood pressure, convulsion, back pain, headaches, fever, and vomiting will also result. Then lastly, protein and blood cells pass into the urine. Protein and blood cells pass into the urine. So everything is now abnormal. Both the things that are supposed to be reabsorbed and all that, they are just passing through anywhere they're supposed to, anywhere they want to. Now, what is the treatment of edema? Number one, you have to wash your food items properly. Make sure your food is well cooked, because that's where those germs come from. It doesn't just fall into your body. You eat it, you take it into your body, through food that you eat. So you have to ensure that you're very careful with your food items. Then the second one is drinking water. Your drinking water must be properly boiled. You have to take water that is very clean. Dialysis. Another treatment is the dialysis machine. Now, dialysis machine is just like an artificial kidney. Since the kidney at that point is not able to do the normal ultra filtration, that means to filter the nutrients from the body and all that, it's now more permeable. The blood is passed through the dialysis machine and it's being filtered, then passed back into the body. Then the last one is kidney transplant. So they might also resort to putting a new kidney to replace the damaged kidney. So thank you so very much. I'll just go through this one more time. We talked about the regulation of internal environment, which has to do with maintaining the things that happen inside the body. We're talking about the maintenance of these processes, speeding it up and all that. Then we talk about structures, major structures that help to maintain the internal environment. We talk about the kidney. I mentioned the kidney, liver, the skin, the brain, hormones. These are the major things that help to make sure. It's just like in your house, you have to always maintain your house. If not, it will fall apart. It's just like when there's water falling on one part of the building and causing it to bring out algae and peel out, and some parts start falling off. If something is not done about it, you find that at some point the house will collapse. You have to sweep your house to ensure that your house is clean, not to accumulate waste. So you need things like brooms, like mop sticks, mop buckets. You need to wash your clothes. You need something like washing machine. This is just the work of all these structures that I talked about. They are the ones that majorly bring about the regulation of the internal environment, that means the inside of the body, and this is homeostasis. So we talk about the kidney. We said the kidney is majorly about filtration. When you get kidney, just know the first thing that should come to your mind is urine, excretion of waste. Urine, filtration, it filters the blood, absorbs the nutrients from the blood, and then the rest is urine, is waste products. I talk about example of this waste products, talk about urea. Then functions of the kidney, osmoregulation, maintain the water balance of the body. I say these are three things to note when you are talking about osmoregulation. regulation, osmotic pressure changes, osmotic receptors, they are notified of the change. Then these osmotic receptors are found in the hypothalamus in the brain. Then when these osmotic receptors, takes note of the change in osmotic pressure, the pituitary gland is stimulated. It's stimulated to secrete the antidiuretic hormone or vasopressin. Now this is what does the major work in ultrafiltration. The antidiuretic hormone causes increased permeability of the glomerular tubules or reduced permeability, and it can cause reduced permeability when there is what is it called again? When there is increased permeability, it means that there is reduced water in the body, and then when there is increased permeability, the body needs to pass out excess water. So that means it increases the permeability in the body, and it reduces the permeability so that those water that is excessive will just be passing out as urine. So this is the major things to note about osmotic